All right, man, we are back for another episode, and man, we are actually jumping back on Skype again this time.
We're doing something different. We don't have just one guest, but we've got 3 guests.
We've got 3 guests. I don't know if we've ever done this. Actually, we have never done this before, so hopefully this goes well, which I'm sure it will. And of course, Michael and David were technologically savvy enough to bring a 3rd person in on this. So good. I'm glad we're doing this.
So we got David, Mike, and John. So what we got? David. Go from left to right.
Yeah,
please.
there we go.
I'm David.
David
Shepard.
That's
Michael
right.
McWhorter.
That's right. And it looks like John froze up a little bit. Hey, that's okay. We'll fly by the seat of our pants.
Oh, there he goes. There he
is.
He's back now.
Yeah. So,
all right.
And obviously, we've got Mojotone in the building today through Skype. Man, guys, we are so happy to talk to you and have you guys on the show.
Yep, awesome.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, let's kick it off in a simple way, and that's just kind of give a background of the company, what you guys are back, just an overview, because there's a lot of people watching, listening that doesn't know exactly what you do. Maybe they know a little bit, and you guys are the guys that need to give us all the background to that.
That's right.
Yeah. So I'll start, I guess. Company was originally founded in California, in Petaluma, California, in 1995, as a small mail order catalog company that sold replacement parts for vintage amps, and that's really the only thing they did. That company went bankrupt in 2000, and my partner Andy Turner and I, business partner, bought all the assets to that company in 2000 and moved everything from Petaluma, California to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and continued on, all the catalog offerings, started a wood shop, and from there just continued to add on to the catalog and added more amp parts and added guitar parts. We moved to Burgall, North Carolina in 2005, and just continued to expand, brought David on as head of our guitar parts, started a Mojotone pickup line a few years after that. So currently we have we've got a wood shop and we make amp cabinets. We do a lot of reproduction vintage cabinets. We've got some of our own designs, and then we do OEM manufacturing for a bunch of different amp companies out there. We still do all the amp parts and guitar parts that we distribute to music stores and repair shops at a wholesale level, and then also direct to consumer at a retail level. And then we have our own line of pickups that we make here.
Yeah.
And then we also do some contract manufacturing for other amp companies, and so build the cabinets, do all the electronic assembly, testing, packaging, then fulfillment from our place to wherever they want us to send it.
Man, so Michael, all those back in 2000, I mean, were you involved with Mojotone, like you bought from them, so you understood the company, you were into vintage amps?
So it's kind of a long, drawn-out story, but I'll try to make it as short and entertaining as possible. When I went to Wake Forest, which was in Winston-Salem, and while I was in college, got a job working for this guy, Andy Turner, who's now my business partner and the other owner of Mojo. And Andy ran a repair shop in the basement of a music store. So I got a job helping him, fixing keyboards, guitar amps, anything anybody brought in, really. Andy then left the music store, started his own little repair shop, and had gotten into buying up surplus from all over the place. This was right when eBay had started, so late 90s. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, I had graduated from college and went to play in a band. So I played in a band full time for about 4 years while Andy was getting into buying up surplus. So he'd buy a pallet of speakers or transformers, all kinds of random stuff, and started his eBay transactions. Meanwhile, I unfortunately didn't make it as a rock star, so my plan B was to go to med school. And I had applied to medical school, and I had about 5 or 6 months before I was going to hear back. Randomly ran into Andy one day, and Andy told me, "Hey man, you gotta come help me. I just bought all the stuff from this company, Mojo Musical Supply, out in California. I'm moving it all back. I'm driving a truck back. I've got 2 train cars full of stuff and a truck. I don't have anywhere to put it. Can you help me find a place and help me out when I get back?" And so it's like, great. I was at the time doing med school stuff, I was working on an ambulance and volunteering at the hospital. And so I jumped in with Andy. We moved all the stuff back and moved it into this old RJR tobacco warehouse in downtown Winston-Salem. And got it all back and really just kind of started sorting through everything. And the original plan was really just to surplus it all out, be done with it. I was going to go to med school and
live happily ever after.
That's right, or something. So, a week or two into going through all the stuff and organizing it all, we found an old box of catalogs from the old Mojo Musical Supply. And there was an 800 number across the front of the catalog. And so we thought, gosh, we should turn this on and see what happens. So we turned it on and the phone rang off the hook. And at the time, so 2000, wow. Mojo was really the only place to get a lot of, vintage amp parts. Mm-hmm. So, replacement transformers for all the tweed amps, grill cloth, Tolex, handles, all that stuff. And so we started taking orders and shipping stuff out. And it was just the two of us for first year and a half or so. And our phone office, which is, we still had a repair shop going. So our phone office was a mile away from the warehouse. And so we would take phone orders from about 10 o'clock in the morning to 7 at night, go eat dinner, drive down to the warehouse, put everything, package it all up, put it on a pallet for the UPS guy to come pick up the next morning. So we did that for a year and a half or so. Then we hired a wood shop guy to make mainly replacement parts for cabinets. So back panels, baffles, stuff like that, the occasional full cabinet. Started doing that. Eventually hired a warehouse guy, and then just, again, continued to add on to the catalog. And eventually we got into doing OEM manufacturing in the wood shop. And then added on the electronic manufacturing after that.
And here you are.
Yeah.
That's right. Hey,
I left out the part where I ended up getting waitlisted for med school about 6 months into Mojo. And so at that point, I decided to just partner up with Andy. I was having such a blast doing it.
Yeah.
So we partnered up and almost 20 years ago.
Man, that's very cool. Hey, real fast, a note from our producer, Ian. If you could stop hitting the desk.
I'm sorry.
What do you mean? It sounds like somebody's playing a drum when you're listening through just the speaker. But hey,
I'm enjoying it. I'm a drummer, man. Leave him alone.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
You tell the guy to stop rambling.
No, you guys are great.
Well, hey, man, very cool. Obviously, it's kind of very Jeff Bezos beginning of Amazon kind of. You guys just kind of worked it from the ground up and took it step by step and turned it into what you've got today. So very cool.
Yeah. Tell us, how did you, something that's intriguing to me is how you got in with the OEM and doing all the cabinets and all that. Because I know from our standpoint here, if we get left of just working on guitars and fixing guitars and doing what we do, we get lost. You guys got your hands in everything. How do you guys stay focused and stay on track and keep the ball moving?
Adderall.
Yeah, great question. We're a little ADD or a lot ADD here, and I've learned over the years that just because you can do something doesn't necessarily mean you should do something.
Yeah.
But we got into OEM manufacturing. I guess we found a furniture maker in Winston-Salem that we partnered up with early on, and he was used to doing full production lines. So we went from our single guy wood shop, just making parts and pieces and single cabinets at a time. Found this wood shop guy who was used to doing production stuff. So we quickly went to running 25 cabinets at a time, and of course, the price went way down, the price to our cost to manufacture this stuff. So, not long after we started, building more cabinets and doing more stuff for some of the boutique builders, we got hooked up with Gibson. And Gibson was moving. They had just bought the Trace Elliott trademark. All the Gibson Goldtone amps were made in the UK at the Straight Edge factory in the UK. And Gibson was looking for somebody to take over manufacturing in the States. And so Gibson was really our first OEM, our big OEM client. So we started making the Goldtone series amps. I think there were 4 of those.
Those are great amps.
Yeah,
I thought they looked
heavy,
great.
it's-
Yeah,
I'll get it,
you don't want to
but-
move it. It's almost like a piece of furniture. You just kind of sit it and leave it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, they had an amp designer, this guy named Paul Stevens, who went on to work for Peavey. And I think he's either at Marshall or I don't know where he is now. But yeah, great guy and great player. But we made the Gold Tone amps, and then we did 2 of the Trace Elliott acoustic amps, the TA50 and TA100 amps. And then we did a GA5, the Les Paul Jr. amp that we kind of redesigned and packaged. Made a bunch of those.
Okay.
But yeah, back to your question about how do you stay focused. We got guys like John Croft here who try to keep us on target. And we've learned to say no over the years with OEMs coming in asking us to do some things that may be outside of our wheelhouse. There was a time where we would take on anything and everything. After Gibson, we did Gibson for maybe 3 years, and then we built all the Buddha stuff for a while before PV bought Buddha.
Okay.
And then a handful of other boutique builders, and there's really a sweet spot for a boutique builder to get to the right size in order to hand that stuff off.
Yeah.
Really our sweet spot is 25 amps at a time. To make it worth our while and to get the price low enough where it makes sense for a builder to invest in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And David, you came on as specializing in guitar parts?
Yes. I came on in 2005. Michael's sister called me at the store I was doing.
Is there a story behind that?
Yeah. Now it's getting interesting.
Had nothing to do with work, huh?
Not what you
Wow.
think. No. So long story short, my brother used to date Michael's sister back in high school.
Wow, it's really getting good.
We all lived in Winston-Salem, and I guess they got word I was in Wilmington, which is right outside of Burgaw, where they had relocated in 2005. So I got a call from Helen. And she was asking.
You're not originally from Kentucky, are you? Not to interrupt. Anyways, go ahead. I digress.
So anyway, they basically asked if I was interested in working there and starting up guitar parts for them, because they were mainly amp parts and cabinets and things like that. So I took it on and been here ever since. It's been really good.
Did they come to you because you already had a love for guitar parts, or you were a guitar player? What was the connection there?
Because he knew his sister. I'm just kidding.
So I had a repair shop in Wilmington, and I did that for almost 10 years. And I worked out of the back of music stores. I had my own space. I went through all kinds of different things with it, but that was my background, was repair.
Gotcha.
And I went to school for building guitars, got out of school, went to the repair side of things, and now I'm here designing pickups and handling guitar parts and stuff like that. So,
man, that's a big world to be in. I mean, how did you kind of get a handle on that? I mean, there's tons of pickups out there. So what do you think, what sets you apart from what everybody else is doing? So.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it all started out as building custom pickups, like, what do you want? And I'll build it, and we would just kind of take custom orders and kind of get a feel for what people were asking for. And we sort of evolved into some models from there. And then as we went into more, setting ourselves apart kind of thing, we looked at, what are some problems that we could solve, maybe with hum canceling or, sounding better in some aspect, or having some sort of feature, benefit, whatever. And we look at those things, and that's how I've always kind of come up with ideas on the pickups.
Can I throw one thing? And David's being modest, but we've had some guys in the past here who understand the physics behind pickups, understand all the ingredients. But I think what really sets us apart is David has a great ear. He's a great player, And I really think that is kind of the secret sauce is you got to have an ear for this thing. Even, just because you can put all the pieces together in the right order doesn't necessarily mean you can make a great pickup. But I'm a big believer in David's ears.
Man, people get crazy about pickups. I mean, guitar players, they get weird. I mean,
they're nuts.
They are nuts. I mean, it's just like that, and guitar pedals. And you know what? Actually, I just learned recently in an episode. Who was it? It was with from Stag.
Andrew.
I didn't even realize that you could make a guitar cable that the signal's only supposed to flow one way. I didn't even know that existed, but I guess there's guitar players out there that are crazy enough that they have to have everything exactly as they want. So that's why I was wondering about pickups, because man, it's a big world, and you gotta take on a lot there.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's we're growing every day. I've got a team of 10 people right now that are winding for me, and we're really covering some ground. It's been an exciting ride, especially the past 5 years. We've done a lot of things to promote it and boost the brand.
So do you guys have individual dealers that you deal with, or is it all direct, or how do you guys handle your pickups and stuff like that?
So yeah, we do. It's kind of the same thing with cabinets. We do a lot of OEM manufacturing. We also sell direct to consumer, and then we also sell through retail channels. John Croft came on board and has really boosted that side of the business a lot, as far as getting us into Sweetwater and Musician's Friend and a lot of these large internet companies.
So talking along those lines, who exactly? Because I'm just blown away because you guys are so. I don't want to say spread out and it be a negative, because I don't mean it that way. So understand that. But it just blows my mind that you guys are just everywhere. You're all across the board. I was looking at the website, and man, I was getting dizzy. But in a good way, because you guys got a lot of really, really good stuff. I was just looking at the Tolexes, and I was blown away. So who is your customer? How do you focus in on people and sell them product and stay tracking in the right direction? Because, man, it just seems like you guys can go crazy and get lost.
Definitely. John, you want to take that?
Yes, if I can jump in. So if you go back to kind of where we started, where Mojotone started, fundamentally we were servicing repair shops and manufacturers, ultimately. I mean, when you get into internal workings of a guitar amplifier, there's only a few cats that are actually jumping in there, right? Typically it's a repair person. So on a high level, how I've been working with Mojotone to try to define that is that we work with people that fundamentally are building, modifying, repairing guitar and amp related products or projects. Mm-hmm. And so from a DIY side, that's kind of who we try to hit. It's the first one is anybody that likes to tweak their gear. And then you can get granular. It is repair shops and it is builders. We work, David talked about the OEM side. There are people that are using us to build specifically for them, but they're also using our products to put into guitars that they make. Yeah. Oh, okay. Right? So you'll find Mojotone pickups and PRS guitars. We have a signature pickup with a gentleman by the name of Dusty Waring. And it's similar in the amp side of things. People come to us to buy parts for their amps that they're building. They're buying the Tolex. We're building their cabinets, and then we do our kit business. And so,
which is very cool.
Yeah, and so ultimately, what we're trying to do is just focus on that user. And so, by the nature of it gets really granular and really spread out really quick. But the customer is that customer that's they're tweaking with their gear. And also trying to work with the retailers to from a service standpoint. On a big picture, if you really talk about the retail market in general, if everything is available online, how does a retailer distinguish themselves in a brick and mortar space? And that's going to be through service. And so if we can help the retailer, and so we've been able to reach out to the online retailer in our guitar parts, in our pickups, but we're trying to work better at being there for the service side of the business which was our original focus, at the very beginning. So my experience with Mojo Music Supply, I used to work at a vintage guitar shop in Seattle, and we had a guy that did amp repairs. And so we were buying Tolex, grill cloth, and components, caps and stuff, so they could, we would service somebody's amplifier. So my initial experience with Mojo products was from that end. It was servicing the vintage market. Mm-hmm. But as we get further away from those kind of amplifiers, and this can go sideways really quick, but we've had to, figure out how to be more relevant to the dealer today, where I think is where guitar parts comes into play. Servicing guitar players and swapping out pickups and doing simple repairs in the shop. How can we be there in that retail space in that way?
Yeah. Is a lot of the parts, are they like authentic parts, or are they remanufactured to look like the original, or kind of a combination of both? How does that work?
I'll let Michael and David hit that one.
Yeah, sure. So as authentic as possible. So, for instance, our amp kits. And so our thing is a reproduction amp kit. So we do all the Tweed series and blackface and a handful of Marshall designs. So we do carbon comp resistors is one thing, cloth covered wire, paper bobbin transformers, all the things that kind of made a vintage amp what it was and what it sounded like. We try to replicate. So to answer your question, they are real components, not just made to look like the original stuff, but we had to find and source a lot of these components, because you can imagine, cloth covered wire, who uses that and why would they want to use something like that? But we found a company that had all the old machinery to make the braid around cloth covered wire. So things like that, and then same with the transformers. Really, people don't use paper bobbin transformers that much anymore. They use a plastic bobbin transformer, but these things can certainly affect the way that an amp operates and the way it ultimately sounds. So we've really gone out of our way to try to make it as exact as we can.
No, that's very cool, man. So I'm looking here at like your amp kits, man. I don't know, the Studio One sounds is kind of cool. I'm thinking I might need to try that. Now, I've never built an amp. I think I wired a couple mic cables together in my life. I mean, what level is this? Do you have to have some experience, or could you send one of these to me and I could put it together over the weekend?
So yeah, we could, and we recommend starting out with something small like the Gibson GA5 or the Tweed Champ or a Tweed Deluxe, and all of those are probably 6 to 8 hours worth of work.
None of those say super high gain though.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Not yet. That's your next kit.
Okay.
But we've got manuals for most of our kits that are really step-by-step instructions. And we stayed away from manuals for the longest time because we really felt like people needed to know what they were doing. And we didn't want to be on the hook if somebody got hurt. So we still recommend that people, do some reading, like learn what a resistor does and what a capacitor does. Learn about basic electronics, but all the kits come with a wiring diagram and a schematic. Learn how to read a schematic too. It's really not hard information to get a hold of. But and certainly the wiring diagram. A lot of people say, oh, it's just a paint by numbers. But it can be that easy. You got to take your time and you got to be clean and careful. Mm-hmm. And usually, what takes the longest is not necessarily building the amp, but troubleshooting it after you're done. Yeah. And turn it on and nothing works, or you turn it on and there's a loud buzz or hum. Anyway, but yeah, I think they can be for all people, but okay. You got to do a little bit of learning on your own.
Well, I mean, it definitely sounds kind of cool. I mean, I'm kind of interested in doing that. But man, it sounds like, do you guys have a lot of opportunity for education? Do you guys put on, educational classes where you guys are at? You invite people in? Do you guys, where do you guys do with that?
Yeah. So we do amp building classes. We're actually going to be in Nashville in a couple of weeks
at the Guitar Craft Academy, right?
Right. Yeah, and I
with
think
Michael and guys,
we've got 19 or 20 folks signed up for that. We'll be building a Tweed Deluxe, but it's a 2-day class. So a Saturday and Sunday, 8 hours. And we'll have 3 guys from Mojo at that class, and we'll teach you as much as we can and kind of guide everybody through the process. And usually, 99% of the time you walk away with a working amp.
99. That's I would be that. I would be that 1%.
People just don't finish on time and they take it home and finish it.
I see. Yeah.
But we've got really good tech support. We've got some great amp builders and tech guys that can usually diagnose most any problem over the phone so far.
And how much are the classes?
So that particular class is $9.95.
And you get an amp with it, don't you?
Yeah, so you get the Tweed Deluxe. That pays for the class. It pays for lunch both days.
More importantly, what is for lunch?
I know John set this one up. John,
I don't know what they're doing for lunch.
Oh man.
Oh,
well, there's a lot of options in Nashville.
Yeah, we did barbecue. So just to talk about, we've had the honor of over the last year taking about 100 people through these classes. And we recognize that in our space that it is sort of imperative for us to get involved in the education, because if we're servicing the DIY crowd, we need to make sure that people know how to do it.
Yeah.
All right. So it's interesting because I think for a lot of us growing up, we saw tube testers when I was a kid, tube testers were in grocery stores. I remember going to the grocery store and my mom taking tubes from the TV or from wherever and testing tubes.
Really?
And you'd run into folks that, they're building heat kits and, Radio Shack was a thing where you would build stuff. Mm-hmm. And as we've got more of these, from cheap manufacturing overseas and stuff, less people are doing it themselves. And so for us to be relative, we have to continue to bang that drum and I think, bring people to the water. Mm-hmm. And actually get them to find this exciting. And that's been my personal rallying cry for Mojotone is to talk about who we service. Yeah. And if we're going to grow, we can't be dependent upon people that know what they're doing continuing to help us out. We need more people to go, oh, that looks like you. Well, that looks interesting. Help me be successful in my build. Yeah. And so.
No, you're absolutely right. I feel like, Richard started the work classes here or the workshops here years ago, and we found out through education, man, if you want people to understand what you do, buy into what you do and believe in what you do, man, take the time to educate them, make it affordable so that they can be there and they will be a fan of yours for the rest of their life.
Which is funny.
Go ahead.
Not to harp on people, so the class is $9.95, and then people go, that's expensive. It's like, well, the kit is $750.
You get an amp.
Yeah, well, the kit's $750, and we're spending 2 full days teaching you.
Yeah,
it's like so it's challenging because the relative perspective of some folks is like $1,000 isn't cheap. I mean, that is money, but what you get, the value in that is so valuable.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And so I guess we could do, we were looking at trying to figure out a curriculum of workshops where they don't have to buy into the kit. What can we give you in 2 days from an education standpoint? We haven't worked through that part where we're just doing, there's no building necessarily, but we're getting you through some of that top level education or that knowledge that you need.
But I bet you when you're said and done after the 2 days, you have people walk away and go, man, that was worth $1,000 all day long.
Well, anyone that signs up knows the value.
Yes.
I mean, the good news is, we those people win. It's trying to get everyone else to get on board with the idea. Because I think some people go, well, for $300, I can buy this amp from this company. It's like, well, it's not the same thing.
No, it's not. Yeah.
Well, that's probably not your customer anyways. You're probably not going to appeal to them anyways. And your customer is a narrow base of people, and there's going to be a select few that get it, and those are the people that you want there anyway. So I think you guys are on the right track. I think it's a great thing, and as a drummer, I'm excited. I'd like to go to it sometime. So. That's why I asked what was for lunch. You guys couldn't answer that question, so I'm out.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Well, cool. What else do you guys got going on?
You know, we're doing a thing right now through Reverb. Reverb wanted to go in with us on a product, and we came up with what we call our blackout. It's a tweed blackout. And so basically it's an offshoot of a tweed deluxe. It's black lacquered tweed that has a vintage side, which is the normal circuit. Then it has a modern channel too, or I guess not channel, but modern input. So two independent channels, one that's just plain old tweed deluxe, which is great, but then another channel that is a higher gain, just a cool little in a single 12 package. So we had a lot of success with that through Reverb, and so much so that Reverb asked us to do another model. So we were going to come out with the second blackout for Black Friday coming up later this month.
That sounds fun.
Man, that's cool.
Yeah.
Is that something you're making and selling on Reverb, or you're making it and giving it to the Reverb and they're selling that?
Yeah, so we make it here, and we just sell it through Reverb.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
They're pretty smart that way, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah.
They got a good thing going.
Yeah, when that phone rings and you see it's Reverb, you're like, I wonder what they're thinking
Do I
now.
answer this? Should I?
Yeah.
Let's go get some lunch.
Yeah.
Hey, sounds good.
Yeah.
Man,
That is, it's interesting. So the title of your show is the Music Retail Show, and I am a huge retail. I wouldn't say huge. Retail is an interesting space in general, and so it's, and I've had the pleasure and honor of working for brick and mortar, independents. I've worked for two of the largest retailers in the U.S. And then watching somebody like Reverb come along has been I've done it somewhat hesitantly, because it's an interesting marketplace. But over the last couple of years, I've really started to understand and believe in their value proposition. It's challenging at times just because of some of their model, but they have great access to great customers.
Yes.
And that is, for a group like us, it's been very helpful to understand that and to embrace what they do well. And it's worked. Yeah. I think it's worked. I mean, for all the different things that Mojotone does, what Reverb has helped us out, it's been pretty good.
Well, I know from our standpoint, we do a lot with Reverb. We either interview them here. Our customers are their customers. I mean, we're very united in that way. One thing that I appreciate about them is that they're taking up the slack for a lot of maybe another company that isn't doing as good of a job. They care for the buyer and the seller, not just a buyer, and that's something that's unique. Because not everybody feels that way. Some people just want customers. They want, again, buyers and sellers, and they take care of everybody. They're very honest, good people from what I see, and I appreciate them. So I agree with what you're saying. Yeah,
and this is my so as a guy I think the challenge I had with it initially wasn't Reverb in its own right. It wasn't I had a problem with anybody, but there is the opportunity for anybody to sort of be validated as a reseller on there, because I can create a retail page. I can be a seller. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then so initially as a brick and mortar spot, I'm paying rent. I've got all this inventory, and I've got, I'm competing with somebody that's basically doing it as a hobby on the side. And it initially, and this is not a Mojo, this is a John Croft thing, not a Mojo thing. Initially it was like, these other resellers were messing with my vibe.
Yeah.
Like I'm competing with some guy that's working out of his basement. It's like, wait, actually, that's me.
Yeah. Well, but the good thing is a lot of time, like they say, the cream rises to the top, and then before long, who the real players are, and they always seem to shine. So.
Yeah, that was it. My personal learning curve and appreciation. It took some time to mature and flourish.
Yeah, because I'm kind of like you. I like brick and mortar. I like traditional things.
Sure.
Internet and all. I feel like an old man sometimes when I talk about it and think about it. But the truth of the matter is, there's so much space for everybody. The key is do a good job. Be an honest business, give a quality product, take care of your customers. All those things is really, really what matters, because not everybody wants to walk into a brick and mortar store, which is crazy to me, but that's the truth. So there's
100%.
tons of great customers out there, for all of us.
Yep.
So
Well, I think that was kind of a buzzkill on my part. I apologize, guys.
No. I'm curious. What do you guys like to talk about on this show, being the music retail show?
Well, a lot of times what we want to do is, in the case of you guys, is talk about you guys. We want to get everybody to know exactly what you guys do and why you guys should be important in their lives. Because, like I said, you guys are very unique, in my opinion, from what I've seen. You guys kind of cater, from what I see, to the hands-on guy, and so that's what I want to try to do, is get some of our customers who want to dabble into things that might be afraid, like the amp kits. I would love to introduce a bunch of our customers to you guys that maybe want to build amps, or especially parts. Guitar players love tinkering with stuff, and you guys are the solution. I never realized how much product you guys had until recently. And I want everybody to know, because there's a lot of people out there probably looking for parts and can't find them, but you're right here. Mm-hmm. And so that's what our goal is.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, go ahead, David.
Oh, I was just going to emphasize on the parts side of things. One of the things that we do different with that is we offer unique parts that nobody else has. It might be a custom spec to that's above and beyond what's available on the market, kind of thing, or it's a specific part that modifies or improves something that's out there. That's really what sets us apart, is offering those types of parts.
Yeah, which is what you
off
have
the shelf.
To. Yeah, you have to.
So to David's point, like, we have our vintage taper potentiometers. We've done, and one of the challenges that we have is having people appreciate, understand that offering that David's talking about. All right. Yeah. So we do offer things that make the guitar, I wouldn't say better, but ultimately, a better machine for somebody.
Quality parts.
Yeah. One of the jokes that I've heard somebody say about Mojotone before, or somebody says, Mojotone's if you know Mojotone. Mm-hmm. And then so we're trying to figure out how to get more people to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with that. And that's kind of what I was saying earlier. I did not realize how much that you guys have done over the last X amount of years, because I remember from years and years and years ago, just having little parts and this and this and that. Mm-hmm. I never knew the manufacturing side and all the stuff that you guys have grown into. And so, I would love to spread that message to all of our listeners and everybody viewing it, so they can go to your website and really, really dive into what you guys are doing, because it absolutely is mind-boggling. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I'll just comment on this from a sales side. One of the things that we're trying to do better is work with that customer, because we are solution oriented, essentially. And so you can come to our website and probably be a little overwhelmed, but if you were to actually talk to one of us, we can help you as a repair shop or as a guitar manufacturer find the solutions that we can offer you. There are folks out there that buy our kits, and they build the kit, and then they also use another service of ours, which is we do faceplates and logos, mm-hmm. and they're basically doing hand-wired amplifiers that they're selling through their store. That's their own product.
Yeah.
And so, there are interesting solutions that we can help. And really, to me, it does come sort of down to the brick and mortar side of the things. How do you differentiate yourself from the website, or from the websites, and from other stores in your area? And it is that one-on-one connection. So guitar repair and guitar modification is a very singular one-on-one solution. So, I look at what we do, or, again, that's what kind of the topic of the show is, that I would like to find ways to be more effective help retailers be more effective with their customer, whether it is online or in person. But I view guitar repair, I'll sort of back up a little bit. Working in brick and mortar, people would come into our stores all the time, and in our space, guitar players are always just looking. Yeah, that's the one thing what are you up to today? I'm just looking. And so I found that it was my role to help these people find that thing they were looking for. And I found that they're looking for one of two things. They're looking for the thing they haven't seen before, because if you can Google it and find it on everywhere right now, and you've gone to all the stores in town, it's up to me to show you the thing you haven't found. And that's either a price, a color, it's something you haven't seen. So I have to engage with that person on a one-on-one level. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the times, guitar players are on this long cycle of buying. Yeah. They don't know that, because again, committing to a guitar costs money. So if it's $800 or $3,000, you're not just going to. It's not an impulse buy. It's something's going to click. And so I found that if I could engage people and just plug them into something, hey, check out this pedal, right? I know you're killing time on your lunch break, but check this out. What would happen is I start to find, I get feedback from these people about things that they were dissatisfied with or they weren't digging. It's like, hey man, that pedal was really cool, but my guitar at home is doing this. And it's like you have these conversations. So what we service from a pickup standpoint, or even a potentiometer standpoint, if we can engage with, help stores engage with their customers, it's not about just putting dollars in the cash register, but it's trying to get that customer satisfied with the gear that they have. Yeah. So I guess the long-winded thing I'm trying to say is if we can talk to these retailers and just get an idea of who their customers are, we can help them find solutions so that we can plug in. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the times some of these retailers are so overwhelmed with their day-to-day that they don't think about making small investments in service. And,
that's very true.
Broadening your pickup and part assortment so you can have that conversation. Because if we're waiting for customers to walk in the door and say, I want that, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
So how do you guys do that? I mean, what's your guys' formula for doing that? Because, we have a lot of dealers and a lot of people that are, again, watching, listening. They might be thinking without saying, well, how does this apply to me? How do I get involved with Mojotone? How do I make money with them? How do I partner with them? How does that work?
So the first level is one, just an openness and wanting to do some service. So David's done a really great job of looking at from his experience as a guitar. So there's two things. One is from an education standpoint, even a lot of folks don't have a soldering iron, all right? Yeah. So if we want you to put new pickups in your guitar, we need to make it as simple as possible. So David's done a great job of developing our solderless wiring kits. So there's a drop-in wiring harness. You drop that in, you click, you can connect your pickups pretty simply. Similarly, even for a repair shop, I mean, you might not want to necessarily do all that work of the wiring harness and all the potentiometers. So, we have easy drop-in kits that almost anyone in any shop could do. You don't know how to run a soldering iron. You don't know how to do a clean
cool
job. We make it easy for you. So really it's just one, having the openness and looking at how you are engaging with your customers.
Yeah. Okay.
Because just because you put something in and unfortunately it all comes down to the people in your store.
Yeah.
So what I'm interested in doing on my side, is helping, talking to these shops and how you can be a better retailer.
That's right.
And that sounds maybe high and lofty.
No,
but it is.
No, I don't think it does. I don't think it does.
Yeah.
No.
How do you inspire your sales guys to talk to customers and be excited about all the opportunities you can help that customer be better at what they do?
We talk a lot about adding additional profit centers to your store, and I think that's what you're talking about. And I think if you present it in that way, then the owner goes, ding, ding, now I get it. Because up
Yeah.
until then, I honestly thought, well, hey, if I'm a guy screwing around and want to build an amp or fix it, whatever, I'll just go online and order a part. But what I think I hear you saying is you can actually be in a store and have wall space with parts that people can buy and then fix things at home, and the retailer and the consumer takes advantage of that. Is that accurate?
Yeah, specifically in guitar land.
Yes, correct.
Well, and I
where
think
you don't have high voltages and
guitar land,
you know.
But that's a big. We've been fairly successful with replacement switch assemblies. So we've got guys that have vintage guitars that are replacing the electronics in their guitar, or guys that will buy a lesser expensive maybe Asian made guitar, swap out the electronics and maybe the pickups, and man, it's just as good as a American made guitar. So
Yeah.
Man, hey, I got a question for you. I've seen this over the last several NAMMs I've been there. Just your opinion. No positive or negative about anybody, but I'm seeing more and more guitar builders coming through where you can literally take the pickups out and change them, like very easily. What do you guys think? What do you think about that? Is that something where guitars should go, or is that just feeling a little gimmicky?
You got to watch out how you answer his questions. Some kind of
That's right. I got a couple brand names in mind. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So I can't remember. There was maybe a German company at the Nashville NAMM show this year, and that the guitar looked great and it played really well. And I think that design was where you could rotate the pickups around, but the guitar was $18,000.
What?
Yeah, it was just insane.
What's the point?
My opinion is, I think it's a cool idea, but I think they're solving a problem that nobody has.
Yeah.
Right? 'Cause I think guitar players in general, there's like a Telecaster, you like the way it feels, you like the way it sounds.
Yeah, sure.
And you probably don't want it to sound like a Les Paul because it still feels like a Telecaster.
Yeah.
And guitar players like to have a lot of guitars. So
That's exactly right.
I'd much rather just buy the Les Paul than try to, make my Telecaster sound sort of like a Les Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know. What are you thinking?
I'm really fascinated with their stuff. I'm actually going to go back to the website after this and go back through stuff. Because, like I said, I know this sounds crazy, but I got hung up on the Tolex. I was literally there for probably like 20 minutes checking it out going, man, I want to build an amp cab.
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking.
I'm going to wrap a piece of furniture with it.
Yeah, it was
actually,
cool.
when I met you guys, when you guys were in, it was right after NAMM, was it NAMM week you guys came in? Or somewhere around there, and actually, you got introduced. It was Mojotone. I was like, "Oh, those are the guys that sell parts for guitar pedals." That's what I thought, and then I found out that there's a whole lot more to it. So, to the point that, so to your point, John, our point here with the Music Retail Show is we want to get out and talk more and more about what you guys do. So we're fascinated by your company. We think you guys deliver an amazing product, and we're glad you came on to talk about it today. So,
thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, can you think of anything that we didn't bring up I know there's a ton that we didn't, but any message or anything that you want to get out that maybe we overlooked?
One thing that is a big part of our pickup line is our Quiet Coil series. So hum canceling, and I know every guitar player kind of cringes when you mention hum canceling anything at all. But so we have a hum canceling Strat pickup, Tele pickup, and P90. And I'll go back to the comment I made about David's ears. A lot of guys and kind of people in the know will get hung up on how a hum canceling pickup works before they actually hear it and play it. But David has managed to do this, and those three pickups cancel the hum while keeping the true nature and feel and dynamics of all three of those pickups. So I'd encourage y'all, if y'all ever get the chance, we'll send you some if y'all ever want to check them out and put them in a guitar. But you really gotta hear it and play it to believe it.
Is that something that's patented by you? That's specific to only Mojotone, or?
It is, and for some reason, the design that we do, no one's done it before. We're not quite sure why, but we jumped on that opportunity, and it's a great. All three of them are great pickups. The P90 in particular, it sounds like a P90.
Yeah.
but you don't have the annoying, hum that keeps a lot of players away and a lot of guys in the studio away from using a P90 because it's just uncontrollable hum. Anyway, but that's all three of those are probably our best selling pickups, and we do, a wide range of different pickups. But
yeah,
I think we managed to solve that problem. David did with a great sounding product, and we're really excited to have that.
Yeah, very cool. So anywhere, anything you want to say about maybe where you guys might potentially expand to in the future, or?
We're back to our conversation earlier about focus and the need to focus and our ADD. We're really trying to continue to do the things that we're good at.
Yeah.
So you can certainly expect to see more amp kits, more information about amp kits. We're certainly going to keep pursuing amp classes, amp building classes. We just got back from one that we did at Roberta Venn in Phoenix, Arizona, the luthier school out there. Mm-hmm. We do a class at Sweetwater once a quarter. And we do them here at Mojo, usually once a quarter as well. So we'll keep expanding that, keep expanding the amp kit line too, and coming out with some new kits as well.
Can I jump in on that really quick?
Yeah.
So for your listeners, we are looking for venues to host these at, and that is a profit center opportunity for a group. I can spell out a pretty clear path to how a group can turn, a 2-day engaging weekend into some dollars and also customers. The success of the classes that we've had have come with the support of the groups that we're doing them at. So Roberto Vance had a couple, and they want us back again. Sweetwater has us back. The MI one's going to be great, and so that is a profit center opportunity for anyone that's interested.
So any music store out there that would be interested in that, they need to reach out to you to have that conversation, huh?
Yeah, we'll look at it, make sure it makes sense. But in order, because the thing that we get is people want to do it, and they don't want to necessarily drive to Burgos, North Carolina if they're living in Colorado.
Sure.
Sure. And so, anyways, it's anybody that's out there listening. We'll have the conversation. If we can make it make sense to them, we'll do it. Right? Is that true, Michael?
Yes. What are you talking about, John? Yeah. I think so. Yeah. Of course.
First time I ever heard
we'd love
that.
to get out there.
Yeah.
We want to reach more people.
Yeah.
As many as we can. So.
Well, how can they get a hold of you? What's your contact information?
They can email me at johncroft@mojotone.com.
Okay.
That's JON, or just sales at Mojotone.
Yeah, sales at Mojotone will reach anybody here as well.
Yeah. And we'll get the ball rolling.
Well, that sounds like fun. Now, when are you guys going to be here in Nashville?
It is I think the 19th.
16th, 17th.
16th and 17th.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to keep that open.
Yeah,
so.
man, very cool. Then that's at GCA, right?
Yeah, that one's sold out, but if you wanted to do a drop by, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I could probably drop
Yeah, when's
by.
lunch?
Yeah.
I knew.
That's right. Well, yeah, so mojotone.com. Everybody out there can go check them out. Anybody who's interested in working with them or carrying your products. It sounds like obviously one of the strengths I pulled away from this is that you guys will support music stores and make them better at selling your products and just being better within the music industry. So, which I think is a big deal. I think, did I say that wrong, John, or should I?
No, it's very aspirational.
Yeah.
Having worked in, I've had the good honor of being able to visit music stores across the country.
Yeah.
And there are two types. There's the person that is dissatisfied with the environment and will tell you all the things that's wrong. And then there's the group of people that are trying to figure out how to be competitive in the marketplace and be better.
Oh, we've had multiple conversations about this.
Yeah, and so I want to talk to both of them, because the good news is, though, the guy over here that's telling you all that's wrong, if you're willing to listen, we can help you be better.
Yeah.
And then secondly, if you're already in that dialogue of trying to be better, we can make it easy for you, because it's really just how do you help how do you give somebody reason and purpose in being in your store?
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. So we're there to help you as much as possible.
Absolutely. Guys, it's a pleasure, man. We'd love for you to come back in the building, too, sometime Yeah, I don't even know what
y'all
that
got a
looks
great
like.
thing going
Doing
there.
something, or
Cool
at least,
operation.
yeah, have a little bit, even a conversation here around the table too, a little bit. So that'd be
Sure.
a lot
Yeah.
of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to.
There's so much to talk to. We could probably talk for another couple hours. But, like I said, we would like to have you guys back at some point and dive even deeper into stuff, because I think we're just scratched the surface today. That's my take.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely.
Great.
So.
We'd be happy to do it.
Thanks
All
for
right.
your time.
All right,
All right.
gentlemen. Man, we appreciate it. Have a great day.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Take care.
All right.
All right.
The Music Retail Show.